Welcome to this webinar. So we will be talking about financial literacy for medics, whether you're a doctor, you're a nurse, you are a community health extension worker, you're a pharmacist, you're a medical lab scientist, wherever you are, you're welcome. So what was the mind behind this? I'm a doctor myself, and I come across a number of colleagues across the medical field in general, despite the much we do in saving lives. The sad reality is that many people stay home, do not take them home. But the sadder reality is that this will not change except by virtue of information and intentionality. We leverage our finances in a way that situations will change. So waiting for the government to increase pay for you to then be financially sustainable is not a solution. Because even if that happens, I tell you, inflation will probably catch up. And the other thing is that, sadly, in spite of the volume of what it is you learned in school, nobody taught you about making money. There's no course, there's no profession that will say they had a single class around financial literacy. And the earlier, the better. Because whatever it is you don't have, you cannot pass it on. What's the point of working so hard? You're hardly at home. So the family would not see you so often, and then there's still nothing to show for it. So the earlier we are adequately prepared, equipped, and taught, and the earlier we steward that knowledge, the faster we will be able to come to that place of financial sustainability. Because I tell you, it's possible, but it does not happen by chance. Anybody who gets to the place of being financially whole, financially able and capable, it did not happen on another person's timeline. It wasn't because somebody else strove to take their salary up. The few that you will say they are wealthy, it's about only 1% of them who attained that wealth by virtue of saying you work for someone else and the person was so generous and magnanimous, or the company was so well to do and they were able to pay you well. Every other person, check it, just look around in Nigeria. Anyone who is financially sustainable in Nigeria, they are stewarding their own wealth, regardless of your degree, whatever certifications you have. It cannot be in the hands of the government or in the hands of any other private practitioner or private facility that employs you. You just have to be schooled and educated in how to work around your finances. So now I begin with, why did we choose medicine or medicine, nursing, pharmacy, whatever it is you chose? It's always hinged on three things. And the truth is, it's only one of these three things that is left. The other two are gone. So let's be aware of what is happening now. In fact, the one that is left is probably left for medics, for doctors rather. If you are a nurse, there's stiff competition in your field already. So we cannot even say the job security is there. As an employer of labor, sadly, if I put up adverts and I see I'm looking for um, all the other medical and allied health departments, it's only in the for doctors that it takes us a while. But even now, it's not so bad. But for all the others, you put up an advert, you need 5 people, you have like 20, 25 people applying. To let you know, it's a saturated field. So you can't wait and be hoping that my job has security. I'm going to be financially sustainable. So that job security is also on its way out. But most of us went into it for the honor, the respect, the honor that is associated with the medical profession. But then, is it still there? Other than the respect that most people have for our brain, for our intellectual capacity and acumen, when it comes to other things where people need to put their best foot, their voice, their financial weight forward, they hardly will call medics. There's something to ponder on. And then many of us also went in because of financial comfort. We admire doctors, nurses, pharmacists who were really financially well off then. Is there anything to show for that? No. So now the truth is, the realities of the average health worker is very different from what it is we had in mind when we went into the field. And if things are beginning to change, we also have to change with it. We have to change with the times. And this changing will mean that you are adequately schooled. I'm using that word intentionally. Adequately educated to know that what worked so far does not work again because it worked for the past generation of medics. It will not work for this generation, neither will it work for the next. So, and then there are a number of challenges that is confounding the average medic. In average Nigerian, if I may use that word, but medicine also has its own peculiarity. Inflation and rising cost of living, you already know that. Whatever it is you could do with 8,000 naira this time last year would hardly do 500 naira worth of purchase for you. So it's a sad reality. Children's school fees are on the rise. Even cost of vehicles, it's not even something to talk about. And the currency is also getting devalued, grossly devalued. But it started with about how much during whose tenure, and now we're at about 1.5 to $1. That is just very sad. So more than ever, you need to have value that you're creating that is always putting money in your pocket. We cannot wait for, okay, maybe when they now increase the salary. Even if your salary is increased, inflation and devaluation will still catch up with it. That's why this method of we go on strike so that salary can come up. Really, that is still you putting the key to your financial sustainability in the pockets of the government. It will not work like that. And the healthcare system, it's a sad reality, almost nothing to write home about. So you just picture it. You said you wanted to go into medicine to be able to save lives, and then healthcare system is not even working. Financially, there's nothing to show for it. In the house too, you're not in the house. You're always at work, running calls, running shifts, as the case may be. And then you wonder to what extent, for how long, and then the professional burnout. It's something else entirely. But here, as you would track with me down the line, you realize that your ability to also steward long hours in any vocation medically is a blessing because you will need those same skills that you've garnered over the years to be able to leverage your finances. Then the financial uncertainty, despite the years of inflation, many medics are not financially secure. If there's an emergency now that requires you to dole out a large sum of money, let's say 500K, and if some people listening to me have to even take a deep breath because that sounds weighty. It's not supposed to be like that. It's not supposed to be like that. It's like that for the average Nigerian, but where is now the edge for the several years you put in and the volumes of books that you studied with the hope that at least when I'm done, I'm settled. Where what now makes you different from the teacher, from the what do you call it? Someone who is not so educated. I know every job is important, but the truth is, if you put in a lot, you should also be well remunerated. But the remuneration is not in the hands of someone else. It's squarely and 100% in your hands. So let's just reflect on a number of these questions. What did you learn about money while growing up? Did you learn that it's those who are well paid that are financially stable? For which reason you then start seeking the next highest bidder, so to say. So you become a commodity that is being sold. Pardon my explanation, my use of such a simile, if I can use that word. And who taught you about money and how has that shaped your belief? And what do you believe creates financial sustainability? Do you think it's hard work? Hard work in a way, but not the entirety of the story. Do you think being able to sell your services, your skills at a higher rate, maybe, but not the entirety of the story? Now, a very reflective point now is if your salary doubled tomorrow, hmm, will your financial situation will it change? You tell me yes. Yes, it will change maybe for a couple of months until this law that says that the more you earn, the more you spend, until that law catches up with you, then until devaluation and inflation catches up with you, and then you realize you are back to square one. You know, there has been gradual increments in salary across board for most places, for most vocations. Whatever it is you earned 2 years ago, it's not what you're earning now. Now tell me in all honesty, has there been any difference in your financial situation, despite the money being more? So will the salary doubling, would it change? No, it won't change except you intentionally apply some of the things we'll be sharing here. Now, what habits are keeping you from being financially stable? Is it keeping up with the Genesis? Is it unnecessary and premature? We want to talk about that. I'm not against luxury, but some are frankly unnecessary, and some is too early. It's too early. At least amass some wealth before you say you want to live like a certain kind of people. Before you say you want to drive some certain kind of car. Money would follow value. Please, if there's anything you remember from this webinar, is that money will follow value. By the time you see us discuss down the line, you see that anybody who comes to any level of wealth is someone who has made himself or herself extremely valuable. So is able to exchange either goods or services to a lot of people. So your financial sustainability is dependent on the value you create, how competitive this value is, meaning how many other people are able to do what you do at the level you do it, in the way you do it. If there are many, it's not competitive. Because that would then lead you to saying, okay, we need to make some certain adjustments so I can get more people on board. Maybe someone who sells petrol and has like 8 people on the same lane with them, just a few walking distance apart. That is a very steep competition. Before that, such an individual will break even, except you have a lot of cars around. What would that person need to do? Maybe open very early, close very late, and then reduce the cost of the fuel by maybe 2 naira. Is that what you want? If that's what you want, it's all right. But looking at it, that is not the wisest way to amass wealth. You want to position yourself and carve a niche for yourself that by the time they look around and they say, who do we call? Your name rings a bell. So be it O&G, be it radiology, be it medical lab, be it radiography, be it mental health, wherever it is, you should be able to find a niche. I'm more in the mental health field, I'm more in addiction and trauma. And I'm intentionally also carving a niche for myself there. Now, there are those who are more for psychiatric, for other psychotic disorders. There are those who are more for mood disorders. It should be that when somebody mentions addiction and trauma, who do we call Dr. Soldier? That should be your thoughts. That should be your. If you're in radiology and you're like, okay, oh, let me position and strategize this ultrasound scanning well. So much so that it's not positioning by mouth, you're leveraging media, you're also being very well schooled. So you know your theory and you know your clinicals. So that when it comes to ultrasound scanning in the environment I stay, people will just, by virtue of credibility, say nobody does it better than so and so. Are there going to be about 10 other people doing ultrasound scanning? I bet you. But over time, word of mouth, verbal reference, consistency that you have built, the fact that your images are sharp, clear, and reliable, even people will send to you. So that's what the competition means. And how well you position value. Do people know you are there? The internet age now puts everybody in a marketplace where you almost don't need to pay for advertisement. You will anyway, but there's a way you can keyword and make people aware of what it is you do credibly. So much so that everybody's on the internet these days. At least most people are, except the older generation. Most people are. That by the time they see your status, they see your Facebook post, they see your Instagram post a number of times. When they think about a service that is needed, your name should likely come in. That is what I mean by positioning. And that will also mean you're networking, you're interacting with people. So I do this. If you need it to make a referral, please call me up. It may not be something clinical, maybe another entrepreneurship skill entirely, but positioning is necessary. Then the problem you solve has to be a problem that people are willing to pay for, not a problem that other people are also solving. Income is not random, it's a reflection of the value you deliver. So please, I want you to just deconstruct that mindset of it is government that must take the salary up, then I'll be financially sustainable. And from this structure of conversation now, you should know where I'm going to. Is that you're making yourself valuable and you're stewarding your value on your own terms. Now let's look at the history of money. This money. There was a time money wasn't necessary. There was a time money was not being used. If you look at the very first stage, survival economy, everybody will grow what it is they need, make their own tools. There was little exchange happening. That would be the, the prehistoric men and women, if I can use that word. Then a time came when people began to diversify a bit. So you had people going to farming, you had people going into agriculture, you had people going into hunting and gathering, such that they began a need for people to start doing trade by barter. So if you have fish, you exchange it for potatoes. But this stage also had its own limitation because it means that if I need potatoes and all I have is fish, I must find someone who is willing to trade fish for my potatoes. What if I don't find someone? But it also means that my fish could be spoiled so quickly before I find somebody who is willing to trade it for potatoes. And it also means that what is the scale with which we are using to measure how many fish should go for how many potatoes? And it means that large transactions became difficult because if I was a, a fisherman on a very large scale and I could come with a canoe filled with fish, I obviously cannot consume that alone. So large transactions would be a challenge because it means I have to find a lot of people who will need what it is I offer. So the society needed a better system. That was where gold came. Gold became a means of exchange. It was durable, it was portable, it was scarce, it was universally desired, such that I have fish. I don't necessarily need to go looking for someone who has potato. If I have someone who has gold, you can buy it. Because I know I can use my gold to also exchange for potato later. But gold was heavy, so carrying it around was a challenge. So people deposited it in banks. And then people started writing certificates. So that if I sell you fish and the fish I sold you is worth 100 grams of gold, you write me a certificate stating that you are owing Dr. Soji 100 grams of gold. And gradually, people stopped collecting gold and just converted these certificates into money. That's how paper money came. Before it now became digital money, before it became e-currencies and the likes. Now, regardless of any of these journey or currencies that has been used in time past and in the present, one thing is unchanging: value. Still the same, different forms, but still the same purpose and the same principle. Money flows towards value. So even if I'll be able to get a certificate of gold, then it must be that I am valuable. So the greater the value you create, the more the problem you solve, the more people you serve, the more difficult it is to replace you, the greater your earning potential. Now, if you say you are a medical scientist, a nursing personnel, a medical doctor, and there are like 100 of you, really you are solving problems. But you know what the problem is? It is not difficult to replace you. And then if you are a medical lab and all you know is the basics, you've not sharpened and got more certifications, more skills, you don't know how to do more than basics, or you are a medical doctor and all you have is just the MBBS. Even if all you have is the fellowship, the competition is steep because there will be many dermatologists and then there will be many um radiologists and the likes, or many family physicians, so that you are having a niche that when people look around, they say they are hiring many people like him or her. So that could be in private practice, that could be in many other entrepreneurship endeavors, as you will come to see. So your question then should not be how do you make more money? It should be how do you become more valuable such that more people need you. The value you create is greater. It becomes very difficult to serve you, to replace you rather. Now, money has three um three dimensions, three dimensions. The first is money has a past, it has a present, it has a future. Money has a root, it has a trunk, it has a fruit. Whatever money you get should not rob you of three F: your family, your freedom, your fitness. Your fitness is health, physical health, mental health, spiritual health. Now, because I don't have the discussion around the root, the trunk, and the fruit of money on this my slides, I will just discuss it before I talk about the three dimensions of money. The root of money is your mindset about money. You cannot want to be wealthy and you've not read one book about making money. Find Emmanuel Olumide's books and devour them. Find Sunday Adelaja's book on money and devour them. You usually want to read a good book. Many times they mention other people who have written similar books. And then you just continue. Because for anybody who would toward success in any dimension, you must be a vast and an avid reader. So your mindset about money, because there are some unprofitable mindsets that has been imbibed in us, even as Africans. Do you, at the back of your mind, in your subconscious, feel that you can only have so much? In fact, it's said that lottery winners, because of the mindset they have, even if they win lottery today, give them 5 years, they're usually worse off than before they ever won anything. What depreciated that money? Their mindset. It's such that if you have a mindset that all that you can ever have is a million, if I give you 10 million today, give it at most 2 months, your mind will depreciate that money back to 1 million. But if you're somebody who has grown your mindset such that, no, I can't be at the level of 1 million. If I give you 1 million, give another 2 months, you have at least doubled that money. It's mindset. Because your mindset will then lead to the way you show up, the way you create value, the way you save, the way you invest, the way you are frugal in the face of the life you are in. Every phase will demand levels of frugality. You get to the point where your frugality is being able to buy a Mercedes. But there's a point where your frugality is you cannot afford a car now, realistically. So at some people's level, their frugality looks like luxury. But either way, the mindset, the trunk of the money must mean that you are that one is stewardship now. It's no longer thought patterns. It's no longer belief systems about money. But then we talk about fruits and then the activities you are doing, how responsible, how productive, how valuable you've made yourself. By the time we talk about fruits, that's the money, the raw cash, or the e-currency that is in your account. Now, this is the issue. Many people want fruit without a root, without a trunk. It is not sustainable. That would be like you have a potted plant and then you put fresh fruits on it. Tell me realistically, how long does those fruits? How long would they last? How long? So you understand that it's not about let them take my salary or let me be able to do some more work. Let me be able to do more PP. Let me be able to. It is what's your mindset about it, and that is what this conversation is set to change. But beyond my conversation, please find books. Sunday Adelaja, have it written down. Emmanuel Olumide, have it written down, and go get their books. If you need the books, you can reach out to me. I think I have a whole library of books on financial sustainability and financial literacy. So now we now come to the past, the present, and the future of money. Every money you would have. If I give you a 1 million naira today, you will use it to solve three things. Hopefully that you don't use the whole thing to solve the past. Because some people are so indebted that if a 1 million naira enters their money today, everything will be used to take care of debt. Because many professionals will spend today's money paying for yesterday's decisions. We will still come to discuss good debts, bad debts. But debt should be that somebody's life was at risk. We're talking life and death situation, or you're borrowing that money with the intention of multiplying it. Those are the only two reasons you should ever be indebted. If you say you have to go for an exam, I would then ask you, you knew this exam was coming in 8 months. Why did you not start saving up for it? Why did you need to get cooperative from ARD to be able to pay for your FMCP exam? Why? You see, that just says poor financial planning. Then somebody will now tell me, how much is the salary? How much will be left if I decide to save? Would you also interest you to know that there are those who take half of what we take as medics and they have the same financial responsibility and somehow they make you work? Most of us were raised by teachers. A number of those others were also raised by traders. If you were raised by a teacher, how much was the teacher's salary? Did they not make you work? And how much is the teacher's salary still today? So when you look at it realistically, you understand that sometimes it's just a mindset and some sentiments we have around it. So it means if you're going to be financially sustainable, your attitude to debt must be educated, must be educated rather. You can't just make guess and make emotional decisions around taking loans. If it's not that somebody will die if I don't borrow this money, if I that somebody must be somebody very close for whom I'm willing to mortgage my financial sustainability for their life. And if it's not that I'm using that money in a way that I will multiply it several times over and still have my own cut while returning the debt. So that would then be that I'm using somebody else's money to do business. There's no reason for that debt. Not for a car, not for a house, not for an upcoming exam, and not even to pay children's school fees. Because I would then ask, you need children who are going to school. Why did you not save up? So the present is the cost of maintaining our current lifestyle and meeting daily needs. Many of us live inflated lifestyles. We'll talk about that later. It should be the necessities, the essentials. So sit with yourself critically. What are some things that if your salary was halved, reduced, what are some things you will cut out? If you can itemize the number of things that you cut out because salary was halved, I tell you likely those things are not essentials. There's someone that say, why are we now working if we cannot enjoy? The time will come after you have built wealth, not while you're on the journey. Just like somebody who has seeds and needs to be planted and decides to eat everything. You can eat a little so that the family does not starve. But if you have another harvest season, you must plant. Because that then brings us to the future. Your money should be saved towards intentional, strategic, productive investment. That's the only way we build wealth, not by more salaries. If your salary is tripled and you still spend everything on the past and the present, you will not have a financial future. It's a sad reality, but it's the truth. So, what are the things you want to remember about debt? That's money in the past. It's not every loan that is wise. You don't want to borrow to finance liabilities. Treat your salary as a seed, not as an harvest. If you're watching this and your intention is to build um, wealth, to be financially sustainable, to get to that point where money is not a worry on your radar, most of your salary is seed. In fact, you should earmark a percentage. Start with 10%, then build capacity because it will shake you small. Then give yourself a couple of months, maybe 3 or 4 months, go to 20%. Have that mindset that there are those who take half of my salary with the same financial responsibility and they make you work. All of this African sentimentality, should be a doctor, you should be able to send money home and be able to and take care of everything. Why? If you have a sibling who is also a teacher, are they making such demand of them? Little wonder sometimes teachers will build a house before a doctor even contemplates. Is that not shocking? Because when you look at the salary for salary, and if a teacher needs money, who would he come to? They'll come and ask doctor now. So any money your employer gives you, be it government or private, it is a seed. Your responsibility is to multiply it. It's not your employer that multiplies your money. So the question you ask for every intention or every attempt to take a loan will be, is it going to build you or bind you? Are you using it to save someone's life? Or you're using it to amass liabilities? Because liabilities, for what is worth, they are going to depreciate. If you buy the most luxurious car, the day you drive it out of that garage, I mean the garage of where you bought it from, the value begins to depreciate. It's not worth the same thing. It can never be worth the same thing again. So presence, how do you treat the present? That's expenses for daily needs. One is the truth is as your income increase, your expenses will also increase, except you have a knowledge around it and an intentionality to steward it. So it means you're going to track how you spend. It's not mundane, it's not redundant. There's nobody who achieves financial sustainability, at the initial phase, they do not track their expenses. And you take care of needs first. No impulsive spending. This age and time that you can order anything from the comfort of your home. And then advertisement will bombard you with things from Temu, things from AliExpress, things from Jumia. It's a subtle programming because you were not thinking about that bag. Neither were you thinking about the human hair or the belt or the shoe before the advert came up. And then the advert came up, and all of a sudden oh, I need the new hair. No, you do not. The advertisement was a subtle programming. So no impulse spending, no emotional buyings, no unnecessary subscription. Why would you have Netflix as a medic who would only be able to watch movies 4 times in a month? Why would you have Netflix subscription? You have Netflix subscription, you have GoTV subscription, you have DSTV subscription, you have Spotify subscription, you have YouTube subscription, only you. It's like for entertainment. So let's look at it. Unnecessary subscriptions, they would consume that which you're supposed to plant. And excessive luxury purchases. Human ear of 2 million. That could be 5 plots of land in some environments. In fact, some places it could be 10 plots. Now I'll tell you one thing about land. You don't buy land and think that it will give you money. It's that you have planted the money. You come back later, you buy land and wait. And then you wear the human ear of 2 million. And in 6 months' time, the 2 million human ear is not worth 1 million. What has happened? That same 2 million could have been planted, and then you come back in 10 years' time. Your 2 million is 20 million or more. I think in a number of other things, could it be good? The time for this will come. By the time you say you want to buy luxury things, it should be that you can buy them 10 times over without being financially shaken. If you have not got to the point where you can buy 10 of that human hair, which is 20 million, or buy that gold necklace of 1 million, you can buy 10 of it, which is 10 million, and your finances will not shake, then you are not ready for it. You're not financially ready for it. No cap. Will you be ready for it? Yes, you will be. Only on the term that you intentionally steward your resources. That's the only way. So when you hear the word live below your means, cut your coat a little less than your size, it is necessary so that the extra material you can save it. That then brings us into the future of money, savings and investment. For you to come to investment, it must be that you're saving something now. So you want to earmark a certain percentage that's non-negotiable. Even if it means you're going to give a standing instruction to your bank, take out 10% of what comes in. Or I think Money Point has this plan where you can automatically save. So if for that reason you open a Money Point account, but many of these new generation digital banks have such platforms that they can even make you save a certain percentage for every amount you spend. So for every 10,000 I spend, save 1,000 naira. Or for every 1 million I spend, save 100,000. So you must intentionally automate savings. And then as you're automating savings, you're also strategically thinking, after 3 months, after 6 months, how am I investing this money? Because if every month income disappears completely, financial independence remains impossible regardless of how much income you earn. If you earn 10 million and everything disappears, financial independence is not possible. Where will it come from? It's not possible. So you want to begin with small savings intentionally and then scale it up as you begin to find that you are adjusting. So now don't eat your seed. Every money, every naira that comes into your hand is either a seed or a fruit. A seed is supposed to be planted. That's the one you're saving, you're investing. It will grow, it will multiply, and then create wealth for you in the future. A fruit, you are eating it today to enjoy daily needs, daily expenses, and the likes. So your ability to tell the difference is where the wisdom of financial literacy comes in. Now, Now, because I said most medics really, there's a way we were trained, and there's the ego that many of us um were trained with. Really, most medical courses are trained with a bit of ego in Nigeria that leaves us with a lifestyle that is inflated and expensive. Now, most people are beginning to really cut things down, but not everybody. I used to know of friends who would wear TM Lewin shirt. TM Lewin shirt is 80K. And if you need 5 pairs to be able to look good Monday to Friday, and nobody will have 5 pairs, you have more than five. Do the maths. How much is that? How much is that? That's 400K. And then maybe you even now have a lot more. What happened to scrubs? Desperate times will call for desperate measures. What says you must dress a certain way? What happened to Senegalese wear? These up and down that men wear. Since when did shirts with button become the norm? Are we in the Caucasian world? Because you find that some other professions are beginning to normalize this. Okay, so if you say you want to really dress like someone in the hospital, what happened to just making all your wear scrubs? Sounds weird, I know. But if your plan is to save up that 400K, and then so it means every month I'm planning to save up 400 and a little more, such that by 6 months, maybe I have like 2 point something million, maybe to buy a plot or to start a business. It means that we need to cut out some things. And ladies, gold, human hair is a menace. What happened to our hair from inception? What happened to the other weave-on and the other things that people use when um all of this um luxury buying, all of this trying to keep up with the Genesis came on board? The thing we want to remember is don't eat your seed. Don't eat your seed. It's not wrong to look good, but timing matters. A time will come when you'll be able to afford the TM Lewin, the Dolce and Gabbana, the human ear. A time will come because by then, like I said, that someone someone else's frugal spending will sound like a luxury to us at this point. What Dangote would spend, and he will tell you he's being frugal. If you look at it, it will look like that is quite luxurious. That's quite exorbitant. That's when the time has come. Because by the time Dangote tells you he's being frugal, I tell you can buy 100 of that thing without his finances shaking. That's the time you want to wait for. So at this point where you're trying to build wealth and build financial independence, you want to really cut down on unnecessary expenses without shame. So now, it's also important to understand assets and liability. This one, if you are a medic, nobody taught you this. Maybe they taught you a bit in economics, but how many decades ago are we talking about? Assets will put money in your pocket. Simple. Liabilities will take money out of your pocket. Assets could be rental properties. Airbnb is a rave now. If you are in any of the eyebrow areas, you are in Ilorin, you are in Ado Ekiti, you are in Lagos, you are in Ibadan. Why do you not have a rental property that you're using for Airbnb? Why do you not have a domestic staff who is going to clean the Airbnb up? You could have a self-service apartment. As it occurred to you, with give and take 2 million, you furnish that place decently, tastefully, and then you're able to get people. But of course, this um is situ is location specific. You cannot be in a place like where I stay now, and then you're thinking you want to do Airbnb. Maybe over time, but realistically, that may not be the investment for now. I want to look for what students are willing to buy, something that has a high turnover because I live in a student in an environment where students are really a lot, but then it's seasonal. So you have to understand the context. But back to assets, rental property is one of such. You have a land you bought and you're hoping would accrue um a lot of what's the word now begins to appreciate. Yeah, that's the word. That's an asset right there. If you are into agriculture, yes, medics can be into agriculture. One road does not lead to the market. One road does not lead to the market. For financial independence, so hardly will you find somebody who says, I did only one thing. Picture Jeff Bezos now. You want to say Amazon, you want to say the iPhone, you want to say the iPad, you want to say is it iTunes or something like that, or you want to mention Dangote. How many things is he doing? So realistically, don't say, I'm me a doctor, how am I doing farming? No, think about it. If you see yourself doing it enjoyably, sustainably, why not? Then businesses are assets. So if I'm taking a loan to start a business, that's an asset right there. Investment portfolios, stocks, mutual funds, those are things. If you're willing to, if you're someone who does not want to do a lot of risk and you want to put up some money, go meet your bank. So I want to freeze so and so million. How many percent am I expecting on top of this money at the end of 12 months? That is the conversation you'll be able to have. You know what? You put 10 million in your account. The bank has lent your money out at an interest rate of 37 to 40%. Why should you not be able to get 20% interest for the money you are willing to freeze for a year? So that could be for somebody who is like, no, no, I don't want all of this stress, so let me just freeze the money. But the catch about that is that be sure that the interest you're getting on the money you have frozen is higher than the rate of inflation. Because if inflation is at the rate of 25% and you're getting 20% back, you know that is not a very wise mistake. You're wondering what it is I'm talking about. If 1,000 naira before can only do what 500 naira can do 500 naira worth of purchase now, we will say inflation has gone up by 50%. You understand? So if you put 1,000 naira in the bank and you're told that you'll come back in a year and have a 20% interest on it. So in 20 in a year that's going to give you 1,200 naira. Your 1,000 then, now you will need 2,000 to be able to do what 1,000 could do then. So the 1,200 that you have gotten and now can only do 2,000 worth of work now. Do you realize? So inflation has caught up with what it is you're freezing. So if you want to go this route, which is the route that many people will go, why not enter it? Money market is one of such things. If you are medical and listening to me, be able to read this up. I cannot discuss all of it in a webinar. Money market is one of such. Cowrywise is a place where you can invest. Yes, Cowrywise, as simple as it sounds, sit around it. I have a 10-year-old who invested 50K in January and now has 62,000. Do the math. How many percentage is that? It's not a lot of money. I mean, how much money can a 10-year-old have anyway? But look at it realistically. So it's something that is workable. Then income generating skills and knowledge. What you have what do you know that you can trade for money productively? Those are assets. Liabilities are luxury cars. And sometimes it's not even luxury car. It's just cars. It's just car because if you take a loan of 18 million or 15 million or even 10 million to buy a car and you don't have a business that you are doing with that car, that's a liability. However, if you get your car via loan for 10 million, you have a driver who drops you at work, then decides to go do Uber with your vehicle. And from the return, you're able to pay your driver, still have some change, and pay the loan back. You know that's a business right there. So it has changed. It's still a car, but you are leveraging it well. If it's a car that you're also willing to use for the more rugged use, NURTW kind of kind of use, the turnover on that may even be more significant because Uber, except again you're in eyebrow areas, you may not have patronage so well. But even if you're not in eyebrow area, again, it is still watch it and position it. Why are you not on the media saying you have Uber services and you have business registration, one small business registration? Maybe it is Dr. Jones Uber Services. You are not the driver. You have a driver, but it is your car. Do you understand? So that if you say, okay, I need a car at all costs to, and I want to take a loan of 10, 15, 20 million, how is that car going to generate money? If it's not going to, it's not a wise decision. Fly your commercial, jejely, until the time comes when you can afford a car. Expensive phones and gadgets. I understand that iPhones of 2.2, 2.7. If you don't have times 10 of that in your account as I speak, and you have an iPhone of 2 point something, and you don't have assets that can be converted to that amount of money 10 times over, I think is premature, financially speaking. Because that same 2.2 will get you a plot of land, will start a fishery, will start a poultry, will start a barbering salon, will start sales of goods without a shop, but you are pushing the goods online. If you're a man listening to me, all your colleagues they wear singlets, right? Who is the one supplying their singlets in their pocket? Why is it not you? The 2.2 million that you put on iPhone, if you had put it in wholesale singlets, and because most professions will have groups, most groups will be like 100. It's like a sales funnel. You let 100 people know you're selling singlets, but your rate is at a wholesale rate. 100 of 100, at least 30 will convert. 30 people buy from you. Word of mouth. Will they refer you? They will, provided you are consistent and you are a man of your word. You build credibility around your business. And then if you're a lady listening to me and your friends, are they wearing underwear? Who is supplying them? Because these are necessities. I'm not saying go sell gold. Who is supplying them? And then if you want to sell human hair, I'm not saying don't sell it. By all means, sell it. Because there are those who are not financially literate and are willing to trade their money for what it is you sell. How come you're not the one selling it? So again, it is either you are in private practice. That means you open up shop and you're doing consultation, which is honorable. I am in that for the past 11 years, going to 12 years now. Or you are stewarding some other entrepreneurship models. Private practice, if it's not that you have a lot on ground now, it's quite capital intensive. It's demanded. You need personnel, you need registration, you need a number of other things. But it's also worth considering. But if you want to pick the low hanging fruit, that's where to begin from. And then you build your leverage, and then you continue to climb. Then high interest consumer debts are liabilities. If the interest is 37% and you're not sure you'll be able to turn that money over at least twice. At least twice means that by the time I have to pay 27%, I have got 100 or 200% on that money. Because the money you get, keep in mind, you still pay tax, you pay salary, you pay running costs, you pay utility, and a number of things, assuming you are using it for a business. And then you sit down, come and give bank 37%. That is not the wise one. Your plan will be maybe your business first. Go through the route of hospital cooperatives that have low interest rate of about 10%. Go through the route of the new method agile that people will do that, and 12 people can gather themselves and say, okay, you give me 1 million, all of you give Taye 1 million in January. So that is the one taking the money in January. In February, everybody gives it to John. In March, everybody gives it to um, Dr. Joseph. In April, everybody gives it. So we are exchanging money. I know I would need my 12 million sometimes in December, so I'm willing to just keep it with you. So at least it builds that saving, that discipline of saving, excuse me, builds that discipline of saving, and then you're able to get lump sum when you need it. And then you know that when this 12 million comes, I know what I want to use it for. I'm not blowing it. That's another way. So that you can bypass bank loan if you say you want to start a business and you're considering starting with a loan. But if it's not any of this, it is a liability. Then excessive entertainment, pleasures. As Africans, we have this habit. Every baby that is born, we will host 200 people for naming. I'm not against it. I'm also African. I'm also a mother. But if your financial situation cannot carry it, then carry your child to mosque or to church. You and the clergyman, name the baby. The baby will forever bear that name, even though 200 people were not witness to it. And then do we talk about weddings? If you're not married, hear me and hear me well. It's not wise to borrow money for a wedding. How much will people put in envelopes for you? You have 100 people coming for the wedding. At most, maybe 25 people put money in envelope for you. How much will they put? 10,000, 20,000. Then maybe your very close family members who are well off can send you 100K. If you are not from the highbrow family, at most, they send you 200, 250. That would be siblings. And then you're going to get a loan of 5 million to finance your wedding. For what reason? For what reason? Even if you do a small court wedding, 16 member in attendance, you are forever married legally. So these are some things that when you really look at it, they short circuit our finances grossly. And it's because of this lack of financial literacy. So a question to ponder on would then be, which of your current purchases are liabilities? And what is one asset you can start building within the next 6 months? So think now, debt, I've been explaining debt for a while. Debt is not a bad idea if you steward it well, if you know what it is you're using it for. There's good debt and bad debt. If you struggle financially and you have a lot of debt, likely it's a bad debt. If you find that you are climbing up, you are not too strained financially, and then you still have some debt you're taking care of, and the debt is bringing money back, we would likely say you have good debt. So bad debt, excuse me, you're buying luxury car, expensive phones, just all of those good things I've said before. Good debt, rental property, you're expanding a business that is profitable, not a business that is diving. You're investing in income generating educational skills. In fact, this also bears mentioning. If you say you want to go for masters, you want to go for PhD, be sure without a shadow of doubt that when you come back, this will add to your economic level. Excuse me. You know why? Why would you spend 3 million, 5 million, and come back with a master's, a PhD, and you're still writing a beg to apply? What could have happened if you had spent that 5 million as the case may be, and the time you invested in that PhD in some solid entrepreneurial skills? And then when you know you're financially sustainable, but you still like to study, you must say, okay, now I am ready to further. I don't know if you're tracking with me. I might say those study do. I am an avid learner, but I strategize my learning. I don't learn on whim. I don't amass certificate to prove a point at all, at all. You cannot be amassing certificate because you want to prove a point that you're a PhD holder, you are a master's holder. To what extent? What would you now do with it? The money you put there, the hours you were awake at night, could you have spent those hours positioning your value, creating a value that people are willing to pay for? So if you are going to spend money or take a loan for education, it must be that it's income generating. If it's not, it is either premature or it's unnecessary. If you so love reading, you can go to school at 40, at 50, at 60. Then you know we are going for the love of reading because we already know this may not amount to much. And then personal education, this age and time, there's nothing that is being taught in school that you can't teach yourself. Absolutely nothing. The few will be things that require manual skill that someone must sit beside you and tell you this is how you do it, this is how you do it, this is how you do it. So maybe you're interested in psychology. By the time you've read 50 books, you should be able to talk as good as a professor of psychology, except you did not apply yourself when you were studying those books. If you're interested in real estate, must you go back to school to go and pay another 500,000 to get one diploma in real estate management? Why can you not study for it? So some key principles you want to keep in mind is this. You want to borrow only for investments that generate more than the cost of the loan. You want to calculate returns before you borrow. You want to avoid debts with high interest rates. You want to pay off your debts early. Interest is expensive. Don't say the big bank money when we already will pay. 37% is good and it's compounding interest. You should do compounding interest. I think we all did basic economics in school. So, and let it be that it's assets that is paid for the debt, not your salary. So, like somebody who gets that car and is using it for Uber, the returns on Uber should be the one paying for the debt. You can then calculate, okay, this is the amount I would have spent on transportation. Since it's the car that takes me to work, okay, let me use that in addition to pay the debt. It's the Uber services that is fueling the car, that is servicing the car. So some questions to also ponder on is, what debts are you currently carrying? Are they helping you build wealth or they are keeping you pure, keeping you poor? What investments can you make with a good debt in the next 6 to 12 months? Sit with it. Different strokes for different folks. You know what works for you. So now, what are some investment opportunities that are available? The advantage that we all already have, if you are lab or medical lab, pharmacist, physiotherapy, medicine, you're a doctor, you're a nurse, you're whatever. It means if you got this by merit, your IQ is above average. You can learn anything. The things we learned in medicine as a doctor, if you didn't lose your mind, there's nothing that you cannot learn. No craft, no skill. So that is already in your favor. Versus someone who has a below average IQ and they don't even know how to even navigate their way around percentages, around cost pricing, and a number of other things. If you also did any of the medical courses, the discipline, the rigor, you need discipline if you'll be financially independent. You need resilience. These ones are things that medicine already built it in you. And then credibility. By the time you position yourself as Dr. So and so, or nurse so and so, or pharmacist so and so, who does so and they say who runs that business is so and so pharmacist or so and so doctor. But credibility already speaks for you. So at least that's one thing we still have going for us in medicine, in the medical field in Nigeria. And we are thankful that we still have that. Then exposure, you get to meet a lot of people. In the hospital, as a doctor, if you it's a busy clinic, you could consult well over 20, 30. Sometimes you will consult and interact with at least 30 people by day. There's a lot of people you can meet. So you meet people and opportunities and meet people interact beyond clinical consultation. Please, let's demystify this need to maintain a certain appearance. No, no, no. Money doesn't know that kind of thing. So if you leverage this advantage, your value is already high. It is now how do you want to position this value? Real estate is a long term and has low risk. Long term meaning it takes a while before you build wealth from it, but it has low risk. If it's that you're buying land, that's good. You know why? You will not make more land. So wherever you buy your property, except is in the remote of the remotest, 10 years time, that thing cannot be worth less than 10. And it may be worth 50 for what you spent on it. So maybe you're someone who's like, okay, I just want to go into real estate and be buying small, small, small. And maybe I buy five plots every year. Calculate that. Now you say, that looks like a long term. That's what we call it long term. If you continue the financial attitude you have now, in 10 years' time, you'll be worse off than you are today. But if you begin to change and shift something now, in 10 years' time, you'll be light years away from where you are. And the risk is low. But if you don't see of who you don't your paperwork, your legal documents, nobody, even if they see the land, they return it. If you're someone who has a lot of income, at this point, I would want to believe for you to consider this maybe a professor or you're a consultant or you're in private practice, have a lot of things going for you. Could you build and rent? Building and renting also requires a bit of supervision in the challenge because some people will destroy your building. Could you also build and use for short-let apartments? People don't come moving with all of their properties. They just come do a week and then move. They would usually use your properties as well, and the return is better. It's just that you need somebody to clean it. Could the person double as domestic help? So it's a domestic help for you during the day, and then when you have occupants in your circular apartment, they go clean. Could it be commercial properties like event centers? Again, that's low risk and it will be there for a long time. All you have to do is touching and finishings every now and then, renovations. And then if you're someone who is education and who likes to teach, I like to teach. Courses is the gold now. Well created, well curated courses. What are you looking at? The truth is, at least for the environment I stay now, tutoring or teaching is not as wonderful as it used to be for my own generation when I was in school. And even students are very distracted. Lecturers are very distracted. You're already in the medical field. Could you have a whole series of course on the physiology of something medically related, making sure you're covering curriculum, target an institution, give it to them at a low rate because you're planning to cover a um, larger bulk of people. So picture BSc physiology students, you cover the curriculum for 200 level, for 300 level, 400 level, you have it posted um, year by year, semester by the semester. How much would you give it? You give it 10K because it's online. All you need to do is the initial hard work of making the slides, of recording. I am recording this webinar with my Zoom account. So I will be done, have my recording converted to a video, post it on wherever platform I want to host it. So you have that arranged, and then you sell the access, the link. Keep in mind those who are in second year, who used your course and did well, and know that you produce good quality course. By the time you say you have for second year, third year, you don't need to beg them. They will also be the one to tell the incoming second year that forget the lecture that is happening. No, they are not teaching so well, but this is what we used, and it worked for us. The Gen Z is going online. In the days of um, tutorials that we would go for tutorials. Many of them don't show up for tutorials. So if you give it something affordable, then that's something to think about. It will take you the initial hard work of sitting and crafting and curating courses. This one, you can do it on Seller. You can host it on Seller. You can host it on YouTube. YouTube allows you to host course. You would need to have membership if your course would not be pirated and be made available to everybody. So it is only members that would have been able to access it. And there's a payment for membership. You've seen a number of those things. But that would be that you have a passion to teach, you have a good head to discuss complex things and make it easily and relatable. And then you now say you're going to market it. Marketing again, you're marketing to Gen Z, you're looking at online platforms. See how you can penetrate their school, the WhatsApp group of the department, WhatsApp group of the level. See how you can get the course rep on board who will even be the one to sell for you. What says that course rep brings you 20 students who registers and he gets two people's payment free? It's like a percentage. So it becomes your sales ambassador. You see, all of these things are possible, just not thinking about it. I know of a doctor who runs a um, coaching tutoring center for JAM. And for those who are going for, who wants to go to school of nursing, he's a medical doctor and he has a number of graduates, um, 300 level, 400 level science students who will come to teach because the sciences, physics, chemistry, biology. Could that be expanded? Then businesses. What happened to running a pharmacy? I know it's capital intensive, but nothing says you must start big, start small and scale it. And this age and time, if your fear is that I will monitor, they will steal my properties. Businesses are fully automated now that one need will not be lost because it's fully accounted for. You can be gone and not show, and your business is run. If you have a little more money, is it possible to have diagnostic centers, to have clinics if you are interested in private practice? And if you are such that I don't want to do the work, the stress of admission, okay, could it just be day clinics, only diabetic clinics, only addiction recovery clinics? And then you push, and position yourself. Could it be retail stores? Could it be supermarkets? Then health and wellness. What says that a medic cannot run a gym? a gym being run by nurse so and so, doctor so and you are even promoting health because you find obese patients in the clinic and you give them your card. So we have structured protocols and routines that can help you lose some weight and then be on dietary control. We would sit with you, walk through it. If you promise it, please deliver. And you have people there, you can train them, or the people who come already trained. Again, these are things to think about. I know of a sister who pivoted from law into now making these spices, not spices for cooking, spices, oils, and she markets it as supportive treatment for cancers and management of chronic medical conditions. Now she's in law. She pivoted into this. The truth is, she did not say people should not use their medical preparations. She is just also selling her market, and she's pushing it because of the inclination and the fact that she's intellectually smart, being a lawyer. She will push it with research paper and tell you how curcumin has been found to be beneficial in taking care of cancers and a number of other things. But we in the medical field, why are we not the ones stewarding these natural remedies? So nutrition services, wellness programs, agriculture and agro businesses, poultry, fish farming. I know of a doctor friend who has a poultry. And last Christmas we bought well over 80K worth of chicken. Is that something to think about? And we were not the only one that bought. Other people bought. Because fellow doctors would also buy. Know that this is the person who buys. So the person that buys 20K, person that buys 80K, person that buys 10. And then if you have that, could you also now expand it and get a freezer and kill and freeze? And you have a staff there who measures in kilo. If you put 100 kg chicken in the freezer, it cannot get missing because it's being measured. What happened to fish farming, crop farming, and a number of other things? You don't have to be the one to do it, but you are the mind, the brain, and the money behind it. So, and then digital and professional services, telemedicine, medical writing, online consultations. But it's not just to say, okay, now I'm open up, I want to do telemedicine. You have to push and position. Strategy is necessary because you know this is a business that must be profitable. Barbing salon is also another thing to think about. You're not the one there, you put a property. So now one thing I want us to remember is solving problems would create prosperity. When you have a nation where there's a lot of problems, eh? Uh, it's a marketplace for solutions. But you have to be the person who is bringing the solution. So you have to really sit and ask yourself, what are the problems you have identified? And you find that you are a potential solution to it. I've identified drug abuse, and you already know that is a menace, and it can only get worse. But beyond identifying it, it's something I'm passionate about because it has both a personal and a professional meaning for me. So it's for me to really carve my niche and strategically position myself such that when you think about somebody who struggles with addiction, you're thinking about Dr. Soji, someone who has had a very traumatic experience, kidnapping and the likes. You're thinking about Dr. Soji, and I'm subtly making some advert to you. If you don't know, that's positioning. So you must be able to identify the thing that breaks your heart or the thing you see yourself doing in the long term. The question we usually ask people is this: if money wasn't the problem, if ability wasn't the problem, meaning, okay, financially I am sorted, and then I can learn this thing, and then time is not a problem. I still have the time to get it done. What would you do aside medicine or in addition to medicine? You have to really sit with this. If you find it, start seeing how you can start investing in it, whether it's that you're selling skills or selling goods. Either way, we are selling something. Everybody is selling something. But the first product is you. And it means you must invest in yourself, invest in financial knowledge so that you're able to steward this product, which is you, well. The first product you are presenting for sale is you. Because that credibility is what will make people now say, okay, oh, we want to do business with her, with him by buying some services and by buying some goods. So what breaks your heart? Identify that, build knowledge, build skills, build systems that are needed to solve it. Whatever it is you build, you also still need money. Then deliver a solution that is better, affordable. It may be cheaper, may be affordable as you like, and it may be premium because there are some products that if you make it very affordable, you will not be able to have some certain caliber of clientele. There are clientele that it is the price that lets them know this is premium. Example of such is concierge consultation services. If I'm going to go consult um the a way of Ado, for instance, I will not give you consultation 5K now. After I tell you consultation is like 200K, and you know, okay, she knows what she's doing. By the time you say it's consultation of 5K, say, find me another person. Anybody that charges that low cannot know what they are doing. So it may also be that you're offering something premium, but the challenge with premium is that you cannot offer to a lot of people. You don't want to run a business where your recurring customers are only 8. If you mess up with only one of them, they will tell themselves, business is gone. You don't want to put your business at the mercy of a few high and mighty. Do you need them? Yes, you do. But they cannot be more than 5 to 10% of your business. The rest should be the masses. That's where the cheap and affordability comes in. Make it faster, make it more convenient. Then communicate. Let people know what it is you are doing, how you solve problems. Your media post, let people know the problem you're solving. You know this, if you go on media now, you find that, especially Facebook, there's nobody that's not advertising what is now. Neurosurgeons advertise, cardiologists advertise, nephrologists advertise because the market has gone online. One of the days when people check your signboard and they're waiting for somebody to make it to verbally refer, or they go ask their neighbor, where did you go to the last time? People go now to search you out. Hospitals in Ekiti, and Google brings out those with the highest rating or the highest reviews. So you have to position yourself strategically. Then consistency is the key. You can't be good today, then tomorrow. But if anything puts people off the most is lack of consistency. You have to keep improving, you have to keep serving, you have to keep showing up. So reflect the question. What problems around you can you begin to solve? What value can you create that people are willing to pay for? And how can you start small and grow big over time? Prosperity flows to those who solve problems consistently. Now, I mentioned the 3F of money. I say it should be that you have freedom. Money should not rob your freedom. Money should not rob your family. Money should not rob your fitness, physical fitness, psychological fitness, spiritual fitness. The truth is, every other trajectory, if the trajectory you had was that I will do more private practice, I would work more, I will do more surgeries, and a number of other things. If it's that your plan is we do it for a while and save and strategically invest, I understand. But if it's that you want to do that till you are 80, it's not a sustainable way. So the pursuit of money and whatever it is you ultimately now decide to do, have it at the back of your mind that what I'm going for and gunning for is that in time to come, sooner than later, my pursuit of money will still allow me time to be physically healthy so I'm not burnt out. Because people can make money today and the money they make today is spent treating the diseases that will come in the future. If you work in the hospital, you've seen many cases like this. It should be that your mental health is still intact. In the initial phase, would it stretch you? It will, because growth is always out of our comfort zone. But have that at the back of your mind that this is what I'm ultimately aiming for, not a lifelong time, not a lifetime of servitude in exchange for money. Your spiritual life, that one is you can't run on empty. Then your family should not pay for should not be the one to pay the price of the wealth you're trying to build. In fact, if you have to exchange your family, your freedom, and your fitness for money, whatever it is you're exchanging for, it's too expensive. because I want to balance this. I don't want to give this talk about making money and I don't give the very necessary balance. No amount of money would replace time, attention, and presence at all. So even if you say this 1 year, I'm going to give it all, know that it cannot be more than that 1 year. That 1 year, I am strategic enough, getting hands on deck, building systems and structures such that it allows the business to run um, while giving me freedom. You're not handing up already completely, but you're automating as many things that can be automated. You are delegating as many things that can be delegated. For what is worth, if you're planning to go the route of entrepreneurship and you're not already there, even if you're already there, I have a book on how you will balance your life. The book is called Balance, Living Fully Without. Sorry about that glitch. I ran out of internet. We're almost rounding up anyway. So you shouldn't rob your freedom. So when you're making decisions around career and entrepreneurship, choose purpose. Don't choose out of pressure. Choose something that is sustainable, not because you're trying to prove a point. Because if agriculture, fishery, poultry would give you more sustainability, follow it unapologetically. It doesn't have to be pharmacy or supermarket if you find that it's going to drain you and take you out of the family. If private practice is something you are not wired to do, because private practice, you will sweat blood. It is a game of blood and sweat. Find something else that would allow you to be able to balance your life. And the book I mentioned, Balance, Living Fully Without Losing Yourself. If you entrance entrepreneurship or you're in any executive position, please have this book already. Have this book already. Then, if you now say, okay, I think it's an issue for another day. Migration, Japan, it's an issue for another day. But if I could say something a little about it, is that the difference is that when you go out, the structure and the hard work and the diligence you did not have here, you will have it there. The only difference is, so to say, the security, and it's not exactly financial security. Because most people in US and UK are one paycheck away from being bankrupt. That's the reality of many people. They live from paycheck to paycheck. Now, if you say you want to Japan, all of this that we shared, carry it along with you. Otherwise, there will be nothing different in a decade time. The truth is, many people are not telling you what is obtainable down there. It just looks like the rose is green on the other side. Not necessarily. I know of doctors who are doing Uber there. It will shock you, right? Because again, in Nigeria, how will a old doctor do Uber? I'm not saying do it, get a driver and place the person on a pay, provided the Uber service can do it. And then business investments, don't invest just because others are doing it. Be strategic. Take your time to read. At least anyone who wants to enter here, either you sit with somebody who has done it at least 5 years and say, teach me, or you find books to read around it and watch videos and learn courses. If you want to enter poetry, go find someone who has done both poetry a decade and say, teach me what it is I need to know. How do I start? Can I call you up? Can you be my mentor? If you want to enter private practice, find someone who has done it a decade. Don't just venture into it and invest all of the 6 month savings and then the whole thing capsizes. Okay. You have the intellect, you have the tenacity, you have the diligence, you have the integrity of every medic. What you want to now get is the wisdom of this new side of business that was not what you had hitherto or that you were not taught about. So finally, questions that you want to reflect on. What unnecessary expenses will you cut by the time you're done with this webinar? What assets will you begin to build such that in 3 to 6 months time, you know, no, this one, I need to start it. What problem are you uniquely equipped to solve? Sit down and list it. There's some things that you know. I would usually tell people if I wasn't a doctor, I'll be a teacher. And I tell you, I will collect all the students in that community. I will collect, give them 6 months. Every student will come to my school because I know I'm a born teacher. So what investment will you begin within the next 6 months? One specific one. And what action will you take today? Will you begin to automate savings 10% today? Will you cancel some purchases that are not have not arrived? Will you delete some e-commerce app because you buy things impulsively? Will you block some status that will show you things that make you want to do emotional buying? Desperate times call for desperate measures. Do you need to get a course or download books? Sunday Adelaja, Olumide Emmanuel. Those are the two people I say find their books around finances and building wealth and devour them. What action would you take today? Because the greatest investment is you becoming, as I say, I think the product is you. You want to become someone who consistently creates value. All right. Thank you very much for being with me, and God bless you.